Hey everybody, it's Ian. Whoops, I better turn this way or you'll be looking at me funny. There we go. I've been tagged by Rob Random to do the Show Us Your Steak challenge, which was started by some of the bushcraft YouTubers to raise awareness for men's mental health. And as I am somebody who suffers from acute clinical depression and anxiety disorder, this is a good challenge for me to do, and I thank Rob for tagging me, and we'll see what happens here with the Show Us Your Steak. But it's going to take me several days to do this because I don't have a fresh steak, so we're going to start our video today with a simple act of getting our steaks out of the freezer. And you're cringing, going, no, not frozen steak. There we go. So here's the fridge. Here, I'll make you seasick. There we go. And here's the freezer, so let's open the freezer drawer and see if we can find some steak in here. I'm pretty sure I have some steak or some chicken. There we go, steak. And we have two of them, so that's good because there'll be one for me and one for Mrs. Wycap. Better put the chicken back where it was. Alrighty, I'll tell you a story about frozen chicken another time. But there we go, we've got the steak out. We'll have to let them thaw. And once they've thawed out, I will show you how I prep them to cook. And we'll get back to this at that time. Alrighty. Well, picking up from where we left off yesterday, the Show Me Your Steak Challenge. I was challenged by Rob Random to do this. I'll move this up here so I'm looking at you. And you follow me from the couch where I found the challenge to the freezer where I got the steak. And the last thing you saw was me placing it in the sink. And I let it thaw in the sink for about 2 hours and then moved it to the fridge overnight. And now here we are this morning getting ready to do our final preparations as far as marinating it goes. Now, yesterday when I took it out of the freezer was Monday. Today is Tuesday, and we are going to have the steak for supper tomorrow night, Wednesday. And in spite of the minus temperatures here in Saskatchewan, I am going to fire up the barbecue. And it may take a little longer because, you know, if you fire up your barbecue and it's 100 degrees outside, your temperature in your barbecue is going to be higher than if you fire it up when it's, you know, like 19 degrees outside. So, but anyway, we're going to do that tomorrow because this is a outdoor challenge. There's nowhere around here I can have a fire and do it nicely. The places, the parks that have camp facilities and cooking facilities like that are all closed for the winter. So the barbecue is the next best thing. So for all you survival guys out there, yes, I can build a fire. Yes, I can cook on a fire, but just don't have a place available to do one right now. If it was a survival situation, then to heck with bylaws, I'd be starting a fire in the backyard. But gotta mind the bylaws when we don't have that. So I'm gonna put you up on the tripod and we'll get this on the way. All right, well, here's our steaks. Little one for me, big one for Mrs. No, I think it's big one for me, little one for Mrs. Wycap. Now, the first thing I like to do with a steak, and some of you may cringe at this. Oh, hang on, my tripod's almost ready to fall off the counter here. I'm just going to move it over a bit. There we can still see. But in order to allow the flavor enhancers, as I call them, to get into the meat, rather than just sit on the surface, I am going to take a dinner fork. And first thing I did before any of this was wash my hands. So there we go. And I'm going to do this. Now, this will tenderize the steak, but it'll also allow the marinades that I'm going to put on here, or the rubs that I'm going to put on here, to get right down into the meat and through the meat. And then we don't want to cover up the flavor of the meat. We just want to enhance it. Unless you've got a really lousy chunk of meat, and then you might want to just use the meat to carry the flavor of the other things. But this is a pretty decent cut of meat. You can tell this is a North American steak by the marbling, right? If you saw a Rob Random steak, you probably noticed how lean it was. And by comparison, we've got some marbling in this one. This is a good Canadian grade A cut of steak. Oop, the piece was hiding there. Sorry for the noise, but I don't know how to do this without getting through the meat a little bit with a fork. This will be over soon. Now this is one way I do steak. Another way I do it, if it's a cheaper cut of steak, would be to do this and then marinate it in some red wine. Okay, now my hands are clean, but I thoroughly recommend for this next step that you make sure you wash your hands first. Mine are already washed. So I've got some salt and pepper pre-mixed. Oops, there's the lens. And I'm just going to sprinkle it lightly. You don't want too much. You don't want to have your steak taste like salt. Again, you just want to enhance the flavor of the steak, not cover it up. So we'll do that on both sides. And you're wondering, well, why did he have to wash his hands? Well, you'll see in a minute. So this video is probably not going to go up until Wednesday evening. So when you're watching this, it's probably either Wednesday or Thursday. But like I say, you don't want to rush a good steak, right? All right, so we're done with the salt and pepper. Now I'm going to let that, I'll turn it over, let that soak in on that side. Now, for the next step, you either make sure your hands are good and clean. I'm going to wash mine again just to demonstrate. You want to make sure you wash all your fingers. Just pretend you're a surgeon going in for getting ready for surgery. You want to get all your fingers nice and clean. I'm going to take my wedding ring off because I don't need to do that, but just really want to get your hands clean. And yes, the steak is going to be cooked. It's going to be over high temperatures. It'll kill any germs, but still no reason to add extra germs if you don't have to. So my hands now are nice and clean, and again you might be wondering why. Well, it's because I'm going to take garlic. This is a clove of garlic crushed, and I am going to rub that into the steak. Literally rub it into the steak using my fingers. Now, if you don't like doing this, get yourself some food preparation gloves and put them on. Don't wear nitrile gloves or that kind of glove. You want proper food preparation gloves. Now I'm going to use all this garlic for here, so it doesn't matter if I double dip. I'm not sharing this with anybody or any other foods, just the steaks. But yeah, you want to rub that in really well, and that's why we made those holes with the fork, so that the garlic juice can get down into the meat. There we go, and now we'll do the smaller one. Now, how much garlic you use is totally up to you. If you aren't a fan of garlic, then maybe you might want to use, take an onion and puree it and rub the onion into it instead. It'd be a slightly different flavor. Actually, another way you can do this is, and I do usually with cheaper cuts of meat because it helps to tenderize them, is marinate them in red wine for a day or two before I cook them. So we want to just really make sure we get that garlic rubbed into the meat. Don't want it just sitting on the top. And most of the garlic, the substance of the garlic will be on the top, but the juice will work its way down into the meat. And there we have our two steaks. We'll let them marinate. I'm going to turn that back over again. And there we go. Now, once again, we have to wash our hands, or if you want, you can lick them. It's a little too much garlic for me, so I'm going to wash mine, not lick them. And there we go. So that is the steaks prepped, and I'm going to let them marinate in the salt and pepper and garlic until supper time tomorrow. And what time is it now? It is 10:39 here, 20 to 11 here. So they're going to be over 24 hours like that. So I'm going to cover them with some plastic wrap. To tear. There we go. This is a product that I have a love-hate relationship with. It always seems to cling to nothing but itself. And it always clings to itself when you don't want it to. But there we go. So I'll put this in the fridge and let it rest and marinate until I'm ready to put them on the barbecue tomorrow. So join me tomorrow and I will show you what we're fixing for a side. Alrighty, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, hey everybody. I've been chatting away and I've gone out for my winter's day walk. It's a balmy -1 Celsius, which is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and as part of my therapy, if you will, for treating my depression anxiety disorder, is trying to get some daily exercise. Now I have to admit I'm not always good at that, especially when it's this kind of temperature outside, but today I had some errands to run, so I went for a walk, and I thought I was filming as I walked from home to the credit union here, which is about probably 4 or 5 blocks, and when I got here and went to turn the camera off, I discovered I'd never turned it on. So I apologize for that. You got to miss out on something. But I'm going to start walking and talking now, and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can enjoy looking at parking lots and that. I don't have any nice scenic places to go walking nearby, so make do with looking at cityscapes. So let's see if I can turn the camera around. Oh, where's the button? All right, I'm going to have to turn you off to turn the camera around, so hang on. And there we go. So let's see if we can keep this going this time while I walk home. But as you can see, I live in kind of an urban area, so things aren't always easy. And like where Rob Random lives, and he had that nice, sorry about the wind, nice winter scenes in the woods for you to look at. This is what you have to look at with me: the stores and roads and sidewalks. And it's not that there aren't places I could go walking that have nicer scenery, but I'd have to drive to get there, and to me driving somewhere to go walking is kind of defeating the whole purpose. Walking I can do, doesn't have to be in the woods. I can get exercise just walking in the city. So that's what I'm doing here. Let's see if I can get across here without getting run over. Where I live is nice because I'm only a few blocks away from retail things. As you can see, we have Home Depot and Boston Pizza over there. There's a liquor store, Sobeys liquor store. The Tap, which is a restaurant. Connexus Art Center, Connexus Credit Union, where I just was. And yeah, lots of things. There's Extreme PPD. And across the street from the credit union, or across the main road there's a Walmart and some other stores, so don't have to go far to do shopping most of the time unless I'm buying big items at this point. Regarding mental health, especially men's mental health. Okay, Mr. Tough Guy, you're having problems, but you're a man. You're not going to share it with anybody. No, that would show your weakness. You know what I say to that? Baloney. It takes a big man, a strong man, a courageous man to say, hey, I got a problem. I need some help. That takes more courage and strength than hiding it all inside. So I encourage you, if you're having issues, talk to somebody. Whether it's your wife, your significant other, a good friend, or your family doctor. If you're worried about what other people might think about you, talk to your doctor. You have a doctor-patient confidentiality. He's not going to tell anybody, hey, Joe Blow has mental issues. And you know what? It's helpful. I've been there, I've done that. I tried hiding it, bottling it up inside for ages, and in 1999 I had a complete nervous breakdown. Not fun. Don't want to go there. Much better to get it out in the open and deal with it. The thing is, the underlying cause of most depression, unless it's situational depression, like you've lost a loved one, but if it's depression, clinical depression, which is what I have, the underlying cause is a chemical imbalance in the brain, which can be corrected to some degree with medications. So go talk to your doctor. See if you need an antidepressant. No shame in it. And like I say, it takes a bigger, tougher man to admit that you need help than it does to hide it. That's just the sissy's way out, hiding it. The coward backs away from a battle. And if you're suffering from depression or any other kind of mental issue, it's a battle. So stand up, be a man, and take it on head on and get some help. Alrighty, I'm gonna turn this off because nothing more boring than watching a cityscape. Alright, we're gonna start working on the side to go with the steak we're gonna cook earlier. So the first thing I've done is, well, it's not the first thing. The first thing I did was chop up my veggies, and I didn't do that on camera because I can't think of anything more boring than watching somebody chop up veggies. So I've got potatoes and onions. We've got a sheet of aluminum foil here, and so I'm going to put my potatoes onto the aluminum foil. There we go. That was really hard. Hope I don't have to do that again. And then I'm going to put my onions over the top of the potatoes. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to put these on the barbecue. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some margarine. I'm using margarine in this case, but you could use butter, that'd be fine. So we're going to put some chunks of that on here. There we go. And then we're going to salt and pepper. Guess I better watch where I'm aiming my camera here, huh? We're going to put a little salt and pepper on there, not too much, you don't want to overpower it. And we're going to sprinkle some oregano on there. So here goes the oregano, little oregano. Sprinkle that over the top. And then we want some rubbed, get that in focus here, whoops, rubbed rosemary. Get the lid off, that is. Hang on a second. Kind of hard doing this holding it in one hand and not the other. Okay, I've got a message here that says AE/AF lock. I don't know what that means, but it means something apparently. So we're going to sprinkle a little of this over the top in there, add a little flavor, and that's it. That's pretty easy. And now I'm going to ask Mrs. Weigath to come and hold the camera for me. Take her away from doing her jigsaw puzzle. And we'll just get her to hold that on there while I fold this up. So now you've got everything in there. What we're going to do is bring it up and wrap it up. And wrap it up nice and tight. Roll in the ends. And there we go. We're not doing a huge amount because it's just Mrs. Weigath and myself, but that's ready to go on the barbecue, and we'll put that on a while before the steaks because that'll take longer to cook than the steaks will. So there's that ready to go on, and I'll come back in a few minutes to show you the other side. Okay, and we're back, and we're getting ready to do our other side. Now what we have here are green beans, and I'm going to do, I think Mrs. Weigath just made a gasping noise because it's not one of her favorite veggies. So what we are going to do is green beans, almond beans. So we have our green beans already in the foil. Now you can use slivered almonds for this. I'm using whole almonds, and you can use slivered almonds without the skin. You don't need a whole lot, you're just adding a little bit to it. You're not having almonds with string beans, you're having beans with almonds. So that's the first thing you want. Then you're going to again lightly season that, very lightly, with a little bit of salt and pepper. Don't want too much. And a little bit of paprika. There we go. Just a little bit. We're always with spices and things like herbs. We're wanting to enhance flavor, not take away from what the natural flavor of your food. Sorry, I'm getting carried away with this one-handed camera stuff here. And then our final ingredient is, if you can see that, pure almond extract. Get the lid off there. There we go. And we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on there. Again, don't want too much, just enough to enhance the flavor. That's good. Put the lid back on that so I don't knock it over and spill almond extract and end up with counter almondine. So there we have that. And then the last thing, which I forgot to get, and I will go and get right now, is olive oil. This is organic, biologique, Terra del Sa, extra virgin olive oil. There we go. And we're just going to drizzle a little bit of that over there because we don't want them to burn. There we go. So that's all ready. And once again, I'll just, I won't ask Mrs. Weigath to come over this time because I'm just going to roll that up like I did the potatoes, which I don't think you need instruction on how to do. So I'll get that ready and we'll put those on the barbecue with the potatoes and let them cook for a while before we put the steak on. All right, so I'll be back with you when we fire up the barbecue and get things going. All right, so here we are. We're getting ready to fire up the barbecue. And just notice these are on. If my neighbors are out watching me do this, speaking of men's mental health, they are probably calling the psych ward right now and requesting the men in their little green jackets to come and get me. So anyway, we've got this fired up now because of the temperature, being that it's about -3 Celsius, which would be about be about 29 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a bit of a wind. As you can see, it's blowing the flames to the back. This is going to take a little longer to heat up. Now, what I usually do when I do my veggies, which we have ready to go on, is I put them on one side, and I usually turn the gas off on that side and just cook them using the heat from the other side. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to turn this side down to low. Leave the other side up on high. Close the lid. And those are going to take about an hour to do, so we will leave them cooking, and probably about 20 minutes before they're done we'll come out and put the steaks on. Alrighty. Alright, well, it's time to put the steaks on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this side off. This side should be nice and hot. Sorry about that. This one-handed cooking and holding a camera and the other's fun. So here's our steaks. And there we go. You can hear them sizzling as they go onto the grill. Put them on. We're going to close the lid here. Now normally when you're cooking steaks you wouldn't leave the lid closed, but being as you can see it's nice and wintry here. We've had a lot of snow, but we've lost a lot because we've had some nice thaw days. But anyway, we want to put the grill on. Yeah, we're going to put the grill on the steak, but we're going to put the steak on the grill, and we want to sear one side to seal in the flavor, and then give it a few minutes, and then we'll turn it over and sear the other side. So as you can see, my back door neighbor there, this building with the gray and blue, that's the Real Canadian Superstore, so I don't have to go far for groceries. And then if my steak doesn't turn out, this building over here through the trees with the red lights around the roof is a Montana's barbecue restaurant, and they do a wonderful steak there, better than mine, I'm sure. But so if these don't turn out, guess where I'm heading. Alrighty, so back to the barbecue here. Let's have a look and see how it's doing. cooking. Like I say, it's a little harder this time of year to cook because it's like trying to get a Volkswagen up to an air-cooled Volkswagen up to operating temperatures when it's minus 30. It's a bit of a fight. So we'll just turn this over. We've got that side seared. I'm going to move this a little closer to the front. And move this along to the front too. As you can see, the breeze seems to be pushing the flame to the back. And we'll just close the lid, and those will be ready in about 15 minutes. So we'll come back when they're ready, take them off, and we'll be having supper. Alright, so it is now time, and the steaks and everything should be ready. So I've brought out my pan to carry things into the house with. So we turn off our grill, shut off the propane so our tank doesn't run empty. Oh, those steaks look good. So I'll take off our potatoes, put them on the pan, take off our beans almondine, put them on the pan. And this is Wygeth's steak. My steak. And now normally I'd run the barbecue for a while and burn off the grill, but as cold as it is out here right now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let the grill cool off, and then I'll come out and cover it up. Put the winter wraps back on it. So there we have it, and we'll go inside and plate it up and have a look at how she all turned out. Alright, we got everything indoors now. Mrs. Wygeth has made 2 lovely green salads for us. And earlier today she made a lovely Waldorf salad. We had some for lunch, and oh, she outdid herself this time. Really, really good. But let's plate up our supper. I'm not sure whose plate is whose, so does it matter?
This is mine.
This is Mrs. Wygeth. So we will put her steak on her plate. As we chase the steak around the pan, I put my steak on my plate, and now we need to open up our tin foil. So Mrs. Wygeth's going to hold the camera. Sorry about that. So these are our beans almondine. Let's see how they look. Oh yeah, look at that. Those look good. A little burnt on this end. Well, that can happen, unfortunately, but they say a little charcoal is good for the digestion, right? And then we have our potatoes. This would have been the end closest to the heat source, I'm assuming. And that's probably why they got a little burnt. And here are our lovely potato and onion. So, I'm going to use the tongs here. We'll plate some of this up. I know Mrs. Oh, I'm going to probably need a spoon for that. Do you want some almonds? I know you're not a fan of beans, but you want a few? She's nodding her head yes, so there we go. That enough for you, or you want more? That's enough for you. Okay. Have that, and now I'll need a spoon for the potatoes. So there we go. So being a gentleman, we will do Mrs. Wygeth's first. She'll have to tell me how much she wants. Oops, so easy. She says that's enough. But I got some stuck to the spoon, so I gotta replace those. So I'll grab just a couple more here. There we go. And then for myself. Don't know that I'm gonna eat all of these. That's an awful lot of potatoes. I always seem to get carried away with potatoes. What can I say? Let's see if I can shake a few onto the plate.
The burnt ones later.
And there we have it, folks. That's our steak. So show us your steak. Now, I have to challenge 3 other people to show us their steak. So the first person I'm going to challenge to show us their steak is Mark from Good News Travelers. So Mark, fire up your barbecue and show us your steak. The next person I'm going to challenge, hello. Hey. The next person I'm going to challenge, I forgot who that was. Who was I going to challenge? Gotta think there. Oh, I know. Another Mark from Adventures with Mark. He is in England. So Mark, you need to fire up your barbecue or your stove or however you're going to do it and show us your steak. And last but not least, I am going to challenge Kane Beeping. Kane, put down the coins, quit playing with the change, and show us your steak. All right, folks, I hope you found this video helpful. Not only a few cooking hints, but also a reminder that mental illness is a serious subject, and men's mental health is an important thing. You don't want to mess around with it. So guys, if you're having problems and need to talk, my wife's making pointers at my shirt. I'm not sure what it is.
No, from females too.
Well, females too, but this video is about men's
Oh,
mental health awareness, yes. Ladies as well. There's mental health lines you can call, suicide prevention lines. Those are all, I'm not going to name numbers here because they're different in Canada to the States and probably different again for England or Europe or wherever you may be, but there is help available. So if you're struggling, get some help. Talk to somebody. It takes more courage and strength as a man to do so than not. So don't think you're being macho by not doing it. It's the brave man that gets help. All right, until next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.